like trying new things and like being bad at certain things, it's cringy. And the fear of failure, I think, often keeps us stuck, particularly when it comes to our careers, like in jobs that don't align with our values. So it just feels like more comfortable once you're working at a place and you know the team and you know the working style and you're cool with your role and you know all the ins and outs of that company or the organization that you're at and like you've been doing the work for a while. If you have this nagging feeling inside that you were meant for something more or you've outgrown this job or it doesn't align with your values, like, okay, that involves me giving up this comfortable job, this comfortable life and career that I've built so far and trying something new. Thank you so much to our season 2 podcast sponsors, Kelly Miller, Marika and Batman Pierce, Pauline Shu, and Jenny Porter. I couldn't do this without you. Hey everyone, welcome to the Naked Truth with Lauren Season 2. Welcome back if you're a Season 1 listener, and welcome for the first time if you're tuning in for the first time. We are going to be talking all about the messy realities of navigating your 20s this season, and I am promising you real, stripped-down conversations about work, friendship, dating, self-worth, and the growing pains that no one warns you about at this age. Hopefully, you will feel a little less alone after listening. I'm your host, Lauren, a 29-year-old professional living in DC, passionate about creating spaces for open conversations and building genuine community. And I am so glad you're here. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about when everyone else seems to have their life together and you don't. Story of my life. And I think all of us can relate. Picture this. You're scrolling on LinkedIn and you see another announcement where it's like, I'm excited to announce I've accepted a new position as a senior consultant at McKinsey. And it's got that annoying saying graphic. You know the one I'm talking about, that LinkedIn graphic with the like cheers and the confetti and stuff. And you're like, damn, what am I doing wrong? You feel this internal feeling of like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I'm not doing enough. Who am I? What am I doing? Like, what have I accomplished? What do I have to show for myself? We've all been there. Raise your hand if you've been there. Yep. After a long day, you're scrolling, whatever. And it's like, where you see like another engagement photo or like your friends or friends in the past who you don't know anymore that are your age. They're like, we're pregnant. We're welcoming a new baby girl into the world, 2026. And you're like, dude, what? What? Like, you feel like behind or just like, what am I doing with my life for real? But the question is, does anyone actually know what they're doing? Or are we all just really good at choosing the right filter? Because social media is a myth. I'm going to tell you a story. Last year, I went to Guatemala with a group of friends and shared a bunch of aesthetically pleasing pics on Instagram. But that trip was far from glamorous. It started with the 18-hour travel day from hell that none of us were prepared for, between a plane ride with a layover, finally getting to the airport, going through customs, and then trying to get transportation to a boat, which will then take us across Lake Atitlan to our hostel. So we were like in the airport. It was like myself and 4 friends, and we were trying to suss out, like, there's a bunch of guys coming up to us like, we have vans, we have cars, blah, blah, blah. We provide transportation to Lake Atitlan. And we're like, what's a scam and what's for real? Who's not going to kidnap us? Who's not going to charge us like a shit ton of money and still get us there safely? And like, is this like cool, this mysterious van? And then trying to translate and trying to like speak in Spanish, or they're speaking in broken English and there's like a language barrier. And then us going in like different directions and seeing who could find the best transportation. And then finally we end up with this guy who we just had to trust. And then we walk into this mysterious van in the parking lot, and he's like, okay, like, we're going to Lake Atitlan, and we don't know where the hell we are. So we're like, okay, whatever. And it was just like a long ass ride, way, way, way longer than we thought. And then it was like going up the mountain, and the elevation was like crazy. And it was like, he was driving like crazy, really fast, and then up winding roads. And one of my friends gets really car sick, and she was like, dude, hand me a plastic bag. Like, I'm unwell. And then we asked to roll down the windows, and ugh, and the weather was, like, icky. It it was really bad, and she was, like, so close to vomiting, and we were like, "Wait, we could just ask him to slow down." So, like, I asked him to slow down, and he finally understood after a few tries, and she was just really unwell, and we were like, "We don't know how much longer we have. We don't wanna be sitting in a van with, like, vomit." And then, just when you think that it can't get worse, we come to Lake Atitla, we come to whatever, at this, like, port, and there's this beat up, janky ass boat, and now it's like night, so it's dark. And we had to get on this beat up boat and ride across the lake to our hostel. And we're not sure like how long it'll take. At least it was less time than the van ride, but still like it was like, okay, we can't really see where we're going. It's kind of cold. It's very windy. There's no like way to tell if this is like for real. We just had to trust this like janky ass beat up boat. And we were at the point where we just wanted to get to our hostel and get in a bed and just lie down, just go to bed for the night. I feel like we've all been there. And so we finally got to our hostel, but that was like a whole shit show. And then halfway through the trip, we had reserved an overnight hike, like a guided overnight hike to climb this famous volcano, Acatenango. And we were like, let's do it. This is iconic. I had seen pictures. I had known friends who had done it. Another friend of mine who was on the trip, her boyfriend had done it and she knew people that had done it. She was like, let's go. And I was like, that looks so cool. We were looking at the views from the top and you can see another volcano that is erupting, that is like active in the distance. And then you see sunrise from the summit. And it's like, when are we ever going to climb a volcano in our lives? Like, this is like a once in a lifetime thing. And I'm all about experiences and doing iconic shit, like once in a lifetime experiences in particular, and traveling. I was like, yeah, let's do it. And I knew it was going to be hard, but I didn't know it was going to be that hard, as hard as it was. Aside from the fact that it was such a grueling hike for hours and hours on end, I get food poisoning like halfway up. And now I got to take it down. And I'm searching for a bathroom. And all there is these nature bathrooms, which are like, I don't know if it's better or worse than a porta potty, but it's basically like a stall made out of wood at these different points up the volcano, just like outside. There is no like inside house thing. And it's a hole in the ground, basically. And most of them aren't clean because people are just doing their business, maybe wiping if they have toilet paper or not, and then leaving. And it smells disgusting. We were told to bring toilet paper. So luckily I had rolls of toilet paper, or we had rolls of toilet paper on us. And I had to find a nature bathroom. And then it just was not a pretty scene. It just all came out and I felt so bad because we had like people that we hired to carry our backpacks up. And so and the guides, and they were like, two of them were kind of waiting for us. And then two of my friends were waiting for me. And we had almost made it to like the campsite where we would sleep out overnight before going to the summit the next day. And I couldn't help it. I couldn't get off the toilet. Like it was so bad. It felt so sick. And then I finally came out and one of the guides had like gotten this weird medication that I didn't see like a label or anything for, but he had like put this concoction together and was like, drink this with this, it'll help, because they'd seen like tourists get sick like this before. And I really didn't give a shit what it was at that point. I was just like, I need to feel better. So I took it and I was like, please, it's like praying. I was like, please let me feel better, almost at the summit of a volcano. I got another 16 hours to go. I got to sleep here in a sleeping bag, like in a little hut. It's like, and I don't have a lot of toilet paper with me. It was just like very anxiety inducing. And then another one of my friends was sick too. So she was also very unwell. And this was like a really intense hike. And my friend and I are pretty like athletic. We're pretty in shape, but the hike was already like making me winded. And on top of that, it was like the sickness that we were dealing with. And on top of that, we took pills for the altitude because we're not used to being at that altitude. And we'd heard like you get altitude sickness. So it was just, we were unwell. And then we basically were in like huts in the side of the mountain volcano. And we had sleeping bags and it was like 32 degrees. It was so cold. I had layers and layers of like winter coat, hat, gloves, scarves, like whatever we could. And we slept on the hard floor of these huts in sleeping bags. It was so uncomfortable. And I had to go to the bathroom like every 4 hours. It was so bad. We were both so unwell. And then the next morning, there was a 4 a.m. wake up call. My legs already felt like they were falling off. Like, I was like, how can I do this again? I had run out of water. I needed to borrow or like get some water from a friend who wasn't drinking as much. And I was like, how are we going to continue? Because it was just so intense physically the day before. I was like, my legs are going to fall off. I can't do this. And it's pitch black and it's freezing cold. So we had headlamps and we had to basically like rock scramble to the top of the summit. And then it was so windy and it was freezing. I just remember being like just so painful inside, but like also so proud of myself. Like, yes, we had made it to the summit for sunrise. We took some cool pics. We saw cool views and then we had to descend. And just when I thought the descent would be easier, it actually was like almost harder because there were like different terrains that we went through. And a lot of it was like loose rock and sand and like ash, like volcanic ash. And you would just slip. Even though I had hiking boots on, everyone was slipping down the mountain. Like it wasn't just me. Like everyone was just slipping and falling on their asses. So it was very painful, very uncomfortable. I had so many blisters. I was like, oh my God, get me out of these boots. We were carrying like big bags. Some of us had hired the backpack carriers. Some of us hadn't. I think I had hired mine on the way up. But then I was like, no, I can carry it down. Easy peasy down. Boy, was I wrong, but whatever. But yeah, the vision board version of this trip looked like a cool travel photo. I had seen a friend who had gone, her Instagram photos were beautiful. I was like, oh my gosh. And Guatemala really is beautiful. But as is every country has, there's like the not so beautiful parts and the beautiful parts. And what I put on my vision board was like the most aesthetically pleasing, cool travel photo. But the actual experience was getting dirty and sick and wanting to quit. I learned a couple lessons about this. Even when doing something iconic, there was doubt and physical pain. And sometimes I feel like a moving target in life. And if you feel the same way, then gang, we're in the same page. I think that staying grounded isn't about reaching a destination where life is perfect. I think it's about how you handle the pain, the sickness, the uphill battle while you're in it. That's where mindfulness has really come into play in my life. Like meditating and trying to practice being in the present and like deep breathing. It really helps me handle stressors and the problems that life throws at me with more grace and be more like level-headed rather than like letting it get to me and freaking out. Also, I learned a lesson about vulnerability and it is cringy. Like trying new things and like being bad at certain things, it's cringy. And the fear of failure, I think often keeps us stuck. Particularly when it comes to our careers, like in jobs that don't align with our values. So it just feels like more comfortable once you're working at a place and you know the team and you know the working style and you're cool with your role and you know all the ins and outs of that company or the organization that you're at and like you've been doing the work for a while. But if you have this nagging feeling inside that you were meant for something more or you've outgrown this job or it doesn't align with your values and you want to put your like time and energy towards something that aligns with your values, but you're like, okay, that involves me giving up this comfortable job, this comfortable life and career that I've built so far and trying something new. And that's uncomfortable. And maybe I'll fail. Maybe like when I apply to new jobs, I won't get it. I'll get a lot of rejection. Maybe I don't know what I'm doing. Like I'm not comfortable. Like let's say there's a role that you kind of want to transition to that's a little different than your current role. You start guessing yourself and you're like, oh, wait, what if I can't do that role? What if I'm not qualified? Well, I don't have the qualifications specifically that's listed in this job listing or job posting or job application, like, or not apply. We just stay stuck in like jobs and careers that don't align with our values because we're afraid of being cringe, trying new things, failing, getting rejected from jobs that you apply for. And it's okay. It's normal. It happens to me. It taught me several things. It taught me that presence over perfection is what matters. That and pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone is the only way to actually grow. I think my physical fitness grew a lot from that experience. And it required me really pushing my boundaries and getting uncomfortable with this whole new experience of hiking a volcano, which is like totally different than my normal physical workouts of like boxing classes, dance classes, yoga classes, lifting weights at the gym, like playing pickleball and all that. And then community too. It taught me, it reinforced in me that you can't do hard things alone. I was relying on friends for water. I was relying on friends for motivation and encouragement. I would not have been able to reach that summit on my own without my friends and without the tour guides. It also reinforced the decision framework that I've learned and now use. So instead of obsessing over what if I fail, I use the will I regret it if I don't try filter for my life choices. And so instead of letting like fear of failure keep me stuck from something that could be really good and beneficial for me, I think about, will I regret whatever it is if I don't try? So like in my career, when I was at Deloitte and in a really comfortable position with great benefits, great salary, and honestly, like not horrible work, I was like debating if I should leave, if I should quit and devote more of my time and energy to building out my podcast and my own business. And it was scary. And I was like, wait, will I regret this if I don't try? Like, let me put a time frame on it. Let me give myself a year, and see what happens. Maybe I learned that I don't like it and I want to go back to corporate America. Or maybe it's the best thing that I've ever done and I won't know unless I try. So that answer was yes, I would regret it if I didn't at least try to bet on myself and build out my own podcast and business. So that is the decision framework that led me to where I am today. So I want to leave you with something tactical, something practical, one small doable action for this week. The regret check. So this week, take one thing that you've been overthinking, whether it's a side hustle idea or a tough conversation, and ask yourself, will I regret it in 10 years if I don't try this? If the answer is yes, take one tiny step toward it today. So if it is a side hustle idea, one tiny step you could take toward it is going to Lovable or Replit and describing your idea and prompting this AI tool to create a web page about it. It honestly takes 2 minutes and you would be really pleasantly surprised at what it can produce. And it's going to get you really excited seeing this like tangible thing come from your idea. If it's a tough conversation, one tiny step you could take toward it today is setting up a time to talk with that person, reaching out and being like, hey, I think we should have a conversation. Are you free on this day at this time? That's like a tiny, you could take if it's a tough conversation, depending on how nervous you are about it, is practicing with someone like a neutral third party, like going to someone that you know, that you trust, that you love, who really cares about you, who is not involved in the situation at all, and bonus points if they don't know the other person, and practicing what you would say and getting some feedback on that and getting their opinion, maybe. Make sure it's someone who has really good advice and is in a position that you want to be in. If you're feeling like a moving target today, you are in the right place. Screenshot this episode, tag me on Instagram at thenakedtruth.pod and tell me what is one hard thing that you're going to stop overthinking. Thanks for listening to The Naked Truth with Lauren. If you like the show, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review it on whatever platform you're listening or watching. It helps other women just like you to find the show. And if you have a friend who needs to hear this episode, share it with them. If you want to hear more from me, sign up for my community gratitude practice newsletter at thenakedtruthwithlauren.com. You'll receive a quick dose of gratitude every week to help shift your focus from what's missing to what's meaningful in your life. And you can follow along on Instagram at thenakedtruth.pod for more inspiring content. Catch you on the next episode.